What's going on, awesome people? Welcome to another episode of Awesome People, the Instagram live series. I definitely have a very subdued energy about me today, and I want to apologize in advance for it. I was dealt with a pretty upsetting and devastating news just about an hour ago, and I was contemplating canceling this, but I decided not to cancel it because I feel like the lesson to be learned, the topic that we can be talking about with my guest today are things that are hopefully of value to those of you watching, that they could be of value of not just the Persian community that I'm trying to cultivate and grow with you at Unite and Conquer, but just as human beings. And the short story, by the way, the light was off and now it's working. I want to thank my niece for helping me out with this. So let me get to the point real quick, and I apologize for the somber news and the somber energy that I have right now, but trust me, it's with good intentions. And again, I apologize to Deanna for just kind of throwing this curveball, and I appreciate her being understanding and flexible and wanting to make this sad news something of value to all of you watching. So there's a young lady by the name of Katie Morgan that unfortunately just passed away. And Katie was somebody that was an intern for me at Exclusive Entertainment about 4 or 5 years ago. And she was an awesome intern, and she ended up becoming an assistant and eventually my executive assistant, and was with my company for about 2 years. And she put so much energy, so much effort. She wanted to be an event planner. She wanted to be an event planner a lot, and she loved everything that we were doing at EE. Super hardworking, and she was dealing with a lot of things in her life. Just on a personal level, she was dealing with a tremendous amount of just anxiety, depression, just hardships of a lot of shit that especially the youth goes through. And she used to confide in me a lot. Back then, the way that my executive assistant was, that was my right hand person. Like nothing that we could be doing could be done without this pillar of my business. And she was so young, but she was so dedicated, she was so motivated, she was so focused, she was so into it. She knew she was going to be an event planner. This is what she wanted to do, and there was not a single day that she wasn't giving 120%. And she was telling me about a lot of her challenges, her struggles, and she was a very introvert. She was a very quiet person, and it was very hard for her to share exactly what was going on. But because we were working together day after day for 7-8 hours, literally across from each other for multiple months, she was building a rapport with me enough to be able to share some things. And honestly, she shared some things with me that in hindsight, I probably should have told other people, and I didn't, and I regret that wholeheartedly. And she left the company before the pandemic, and so since then we had minimal contact. And although I don't want to speculate exactly what happened, I know she was dealing with a lot of things, and these are the reasons why I do these posts. I mean, if you've been following me for the past few years, I mean, I talk about mental health so much. I talk about being there for one another, being able to be comfortable with your imperfections, finding a community of people that won't judge you, that won't disrespect you, that won't put you down, that won't constantly be negative around you, because you can bring somebody down or you can bring them up. It's really up to you. You can either lend a hand or you can push their head down. And I choose to be not just somebody that tries their best to help other people and lift them up, but I want to be surrounded with people that are like that too. And that's what I really appreciate about Unite and Conquer and the community that we're building. We're a tiny but mighty community. People that are extremely loving, extremely kind. They're purpose-driven. They're filled with gratitude. They appreciate life. They want to uplift other people. They want to cultivate greatness. They want to be able to find the purpose in somebody's life, and then water that plant so it can grow to be an incredible rose garden. And yesterday, my guest, Chef Orly, she said something really beautiful that stuck with me. You know, as somebody who herself has 25, 35,000 people around the world that are adoring her and loving her content, she gave thanks to what we're doing at Unite and Conquer and how we've created a safe space for Persians. And that's why I'm having this conversation. And even though my guest today, Deanna Hojati, was not supposed to be talking about this, when this happened, I wanted to talk about it because I know mental health is something that's important for Deanna as well, and I can't wait to get her take on it. But we have to be able to have these conversations so we can learn from it, so that we don't have other people that are in such darkness to the point where they might be taking their life. And so I really dedicate this this Instagram live to Katie Morgan, and my heart, my love, my thoughts go out to her entire family, her friends, because I know that her friends know, you know, just what hardship that she was going through, you know. And all I can say is that if you are in a similar situation, please know that you're not alone. Please know that you're just a conversation away for getting back on track, getting the support and love that you need. There's nobody living as perfect as a life as you may be seeing them on social media. There is nobody that's walking a perfect life and having everything around them be peachy rosy. That's not the case. Everybody's going through challenges, but they're fighting through it. We're all fighting through it. And so I hope that if you are in a similar position as many others have been before they succumb to taking their life, that you stay positive, you stay grateful, and you start talking to people around you that you know that they care for you, they have the best interest in you. Eliminate negativity, eliminate people that are constantly putting you down. You deserve better. And you're a gift to this world, and if you choose to cut this gift that you've been given short, you're really preventing all of us to see your potential greatness. So I hope that you continue to thrive and you continue to go through your challenges with your head high, knowing that you are worthy and that you are loved and that you have so much incredible potential to do amazing things that will touch humanity in ways you've never ever mentioned or ever imagined. So with that in mind, again, for those of you who might be new, especially Deanna's friends that are tuning in and they were looking forward to hearing from her, a couple of weeks ago, first of all, I have a podcast called the Awesome People Podcast. And then in the month of December, what I wanted to do is do 31 straight days of Instagram Lives with the most awesome Persians that I know, Persian entrepreneurs, Persian artists, Persian creators, just awesome people doing amazing things. And my guest today is Deanna Hojati, who is a fourth-year medical student at VCU in Richmond. And I actually have a personal story with Deanna in the sense that we're longtime family friends. My sister and Deanna's mom and my they've been friends for a long time. So my niece and nephew Dorsa and Parsa have been friends with Deanna and her brother Ashkan since I think like 4, 5, 6 years old, and now she's a grown woman. And even though I've known her from afar through family friends, I didn't really have a single real conversation with her, pretty much one-on-one, until just a couple of weeks ago when she and her mom were here in Miami and we were just having dinner, and I was just finding out more about what she's doing. And I was so impressed by not just the fact that she's going to med school, but just the fact that she is a badass, strong-minded, passionate individual who has chosen a career path of ER as her specialty and her residency that she's applying for. And like, it takes a special creature to do what those doctors and nurses do in the ER day in and day out, where every single second is life and death. You know, it's really, it's an incredible field to be in, and to be able to save people's lives like that is commendable. And I wanted to make sure that we shine a bright light on people like Deanna that our entire Persian community should be very, very proud of, so that we can encourage other awesome people to do the same thing and continue to live an impactful life. So I apologize for the long intro. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'm so happy to at this point bring on the lovely Deanna so she can share her story and we can talk. It'll be an impactful conversation for everybody here.
Hi,
Deanna.
How are you?
Good to see you, girl.
Amazing intro. Thank you for that. And I hope you're feeling okay. Let's get to talking about this stuff.
Thank you. And I appreciate the kind words that you sent via message, like a true mature doctor to be that you are, you were able to calm me down and just kind of put a little context to it. And I'm sorry for throwing this curveball at you last minute, but I think that we can even make this a more valuable conversation that we originally hoped to accomplish, you know?
Absolutely. And you should
So that,
never apologize for life happening as it does. It goes
thank
around
you.
us all day, every day.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. Good for you. Good for you. Awesome. So for those who don't have the pleasure of knowing Deanna Hojati, can you give a little background about yourself and where you are right now in your life and career?
Right. I'm Deanna Hojati, like you said. Born and raised in DC, first generation Iranian American. My parents came from Iran during the revolution. I ended up pursuing a path into the medical field. It was a long, tedious journey. And I tried to get out of it in different avenues. Wanted to be a chemist at one point, and just fell in love with talking to people and hearing their stories and figuring out how to make their days and lives better. And it led me to medical school in Richmond, Virginia, at VCU. Also got my master's degree at VCU, so I've been a student forever.
What was the master's in? I actually did not know this part.
Physiology and biophysics.
Of course it would be, yes.
Just some crazy scientific stuff. I always had a plan to be in science, so it just further and further along trying in my career and doing different things, between working in a nanomagnetics lab to being a scribe, which is someone who takes notes for the doctors when their patients come in. I just got to see a lot of different aspects of the science fields, and I just fell for that one. And when I decided I wanted to do it, I stuck my head down and just kept pushing and kept on trying. And here I am, my last year of medical school. Right now I'm in my process of doing interviews for residency. I'm going into emergency medicine, like you said, and that's about it.
So tell me, you briefly said that you were trying to get out of it. What was it that you were trying to get out of it, and what sucked you back in?
Right. So this is the topic of, Middle Eastern parents. You must be doctor, lawyer, engineer, or die.
I've never heard that before. Yeah.
Nobody told you that?
I was never succumbed to that. No.
Yeah. So I'm being dramatic, and it's just my tone of voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, you grow up and they want to make sure you have a job that will pay for X, Y, Z. And especially being a female in this culture, they want to make sure that you can support yourself and not have to deal with, a man holding onto your funds, etc. So my dad always wanted me to be the doctor, engineer, or lawyer. And I did anything in my power to fight him on anything he ever wanted me to do. If he wanted me to tie my shoes, I would say no. If he wanted me to play soccer, I wanted to play basketball. So it was me and my dad just butt heads a lot throughout my existence. I go off to college. I fall in love with chemistry. I was a biochemistry major, and thought I wanted to do my hand in chemical lab work. So I was working in a lab, working with complex compounds, heating things up to 300 degrees Celsius, which is extremely hot for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about. But it wasn't it for me. And then I ended up working in a hospital, and I was like, wow, I actually like what my dad told me to do. Whoa. And then I was like, shit, I gotta go tell him he was right. So,
How much did he appreciate that moment?
he thinks everything I've done that's been good in my life is because of him. I didn't do any hard work. I'm not the one who had the sleepless nights in the library. It was all him. And it was, to a point. If I didn't have that struggle and that angst and that energy to get out of this house that I grew up in Northern Virginia and be on my own and make my own decisions, the energy to leave my home was what pushed me towards my future and my own decisions and my own life and what I really wanted. So I appreciate
getting out of your comfort zone and just trying to take on life on your own terms.
Absolutely.
And then what was it about the emergency field or emergency medicine that drew you? I mean, like, of all the fields to put an Iranian woman, into that field, that to me is like the ultimate badass, And so, like, what was it that like gravitated you towards that particular field? That is I wrote in my email, but it's not for the faint at heart,
Thank you. Yeah. Honestly, I believe everybody's job is not for the faint of heart. The things that each and every one of us go through in all of our occupations you know, I couldn't fathom like the stuff you deal with, and you couldn't fathom the stuff I deal with, but I like blood and guts. So it's just everybody's a little bit tweaked a little bit differently to, you know, find, um, you know, what their aspirations are in their daily life.
What was there a turning point? Was there a moment where you're like, this is for me. I'm not even looking anywhere else. I'm going full force.
A lot of little things happened to get me to this point, but the turning point was during your third year of medical school, you do rotation. So you are rotating through every different field. So surgery, pediatrics, OB-GYN, etc. Once I walked into the ED, and you hear the beeping, you hear the people running, you hear, you know, someone yelling code status, and someone's doing CPR in another room, and someone's crying. And it's just the overwhelming energy I felt from being in that environment. I realized it was the place I needed to be. For the energy that shot me out of my house and into VCU, into Richmond, into medical school, I finally found somewhere that could match my energy and somewhere I could give it back. You know, being in the emergency room is everyone's worst nightmare. Like I say, you make your doctor's appointment, you go see your pediatrician, you go see your primary care provider, just check your blood pressure, XYZ. You know when you're going in. You have a lot of time. You know, you're walking in with a cup of coffee and everything is all good. But in the ER, it's everybody's worst nightmare. You're in there out of control. You have no idea what's going on behind these closed doors. And all of a sudden someone's running to you and there's blood on their shoes, but you're here because your stomach hurts. So it's just, I try to spin it and make it pleasurable as I can for these people going through such hard and shocking times.
And, you know, obviously, like the topic of today's conversation shifted because of Katie Morgan's passing. And so I want to integrate mental health. And the first thing I want to ask is, how do you deal with mental health, considering that the nature of your work is constant trauma? It's, I mean, you're literally in a place called trauma room, you know, like you are consumed with trauma on a minute by minute, daily by daily basis. What do you do to kind of be able to shut down when you leave work and not let it impact your life beyond work?
Right.
If that's even possible.
No, absolutely. So it was a long process to get to how comfortable I am now. If I hadn't gone through the things I've gone through in my life, I probably wouldn't be able to be working in the ER. Growing up, I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, and something I wanted to touch base on was how the Persian community, especially the older Persian community, the ones that are, you know, coming from Iran during the revolution era, just like my parents were, they don't believe anxiety and stress as being, you know, an illness, a disease. And it really is. It's something that we cannot control. As much as your arteries can clog with plaque and cause a heart attack, that much can happen to you in your mind, and it's called anxiety. And then it leads to depression. And these are things that I never knew for me till I got into medical school, and I'm reading about it. Until I saw patients that come in saying, I can't breathe, I had a panic attack, and I realized that's what happened to me when I was 16. I had a panic attack. Nobody told me, nobody helped me. And these are things that I want the Persian community to be more open about and be able to talk about and speak about. It is not something that should be hidden. It is something that you should be open about, because you can help other people. And like you said, one conversation can lead you down another path, a better path, a healthier path. So with all that being said, I've worked on myself a lot throughout the years. Actually, something that you probably didn't know, I took a year off from medical school. I had family members in the hospital. I needed to be home. I couldn't focus on my work. I had to come home and take care of my family. During that time, I was very anxious, and didn't know if I could make it back to medical school. I actually, as cliche as it sounds, I started exercising a lot. I followed through and became a cycling instructor at Cycle Bar in Green Gates, Richmond. And it was my place, my happy place. It was something that helped me breathe and helped me decompress from my days. And it's something I still continue to do. So something I tell my patients, the ones that come in with anxiety and stress, is find something you love. It doesn't have to be work, doesn't have to be exercise. It can be art, it can be yoga, yoga's exercise, but also the breathing maneuvers, etc. It can be walking around, it could be traveling, you know, fitting that into your schedule. So there's something for everybody to get around this. And that's how I deal with it.
What is the youngest age that you recall having had personal experience with anxiety?
Hmm. Can I say since I was born? I'm not sure.
Wow.
Very strong, go, go, go type of person. And that's what also drew me to the emergency room is I'm always on the edge of my seat, no matter what I do. Like right now, I'm about to fall off this chair. It's just how I am as a person. But you have to be able to control it and pull it back. When I was a kid, it would get out of control. I would cry at everything. I would freak out. If I got a B on a test, my heart just go through the roof. So it was a long battle for me to get to where I am. And of course, as a kid, I didn't realize what was happening to me. They teach us this in medical school. Signs to look out for and how it should feel and how patients should be describing their pain and their issues and how different it can be for every patient. It's to not generalize it. Everybody feels different ways and everyone describes things differently, especially, being an Iranian American woman. And I have to see foreign patients who English isn't their first language. They could describe their anxiety completely differently than I've learned in the English language. So you just have to be very open-minded and very ready to talk about anything and being able to read the person, read the room, and see how comfortable they are ready to talk about this, because sometimes you're just not ready.
So let me ask you something. Obviously, a lot of the suggestions are going to be transferable to all nationalities, but you've experienced being an Iranian, born here, Iranian parents, and we all know that as imperfect Iranian parents can be, they are some of the most loving, hardworking individuals that had to combat their own challenges, their own traumas, just the migration, immigrant life. It's an extremely stressful experience that I right now could not imagine being thrown into another country where I don't know the language, don't know the culture. And so imagine raising a kid and all that stuff. So I never blame our parents and grandparents for the way they are. I just want them to be open to conversations like this so that we can expand our mind and learn from it so that we don't pass it down to the next generation. With that in mind, right now, if you could go back to the Deanna of 8, 10, 12 years, and you could speak into her ear and be like, Deanna, this is what you're experiencing, and this is the best way to combat this so that it doesn't hinder your teenage life and eventual adult life. What is advice to her that you can give? And then also to the parents, especially the Persian parents that might have younger Iranians growing up over here that are still going to deal with the same issues as me and you growing up. What advice do you have for the parents? So if you could tackle those two things, I would greatly appreciate it.
Whew, that's a big one. I'm doing interviews for residency right now, and no one's asking me a question like that.
I'm giving you practice rounds here.
Seriously. Okay. The advice I would give my 8 to 10-year-old self is exactly what my mother told me. It's gonna be okay. It'll be okay. As cliche and boring, Helen June always, every night if I was crying, I got into a fight with my dad, I got a bad grade on an exam, or something happened, it'll be okay. And it always turned out to be okay. I wouldn't have gotten to this point if it wasn't. And there's always silver lining in every single day that you live. I tried being in the ER and seeing so many people pass right in front of you. You realize how short life is and how you don't want to waste a single second being unhappy. So that's something I would also tell myself, as in enjoy every moment you can. No moment should go unhappy. I don't care where you are, sitting in class, sitting in your bed, driving to work. Enjoy every moment. Breathe. Look up at the sky. That's one thing I started doing that really took my breath away, is I haven't looked up so long. Like even right now, I'm looking outside through the windows, but we forget to look up and look at our surroundings. We just keep looking straight forward, maybe to the right, maybe to the left, but look up, breathe, enjoy the moment. And that's what I would tell 8 to 10-year-old Deanna. But 8 to 10-year-old Deanna would not listen. So that's just an 8 to 10-year-old situation. But
and then what about the parents? Hopefully the parents are adults now and they can listen. What would you recommend to them, being somebody that was on the recipient side of things? How can we improve as parents?
think to be more open and be able to have conversations. You know, a lot of my conversations with my parents growing up, it was very lecture based and one sided. It was my way or highway. I wish they could have listened to me more. You know, my mom is listening to this right now. She's going to slap me in the face when I walk out of here. No, but just I could have said more about how I was feeling. Even if I was 8 years old and I was upset that my Band-Aid on my boo-boo was not pink and glittery. Whatever it is, at least I wish I had that those moments where I could have expressed my feelings and expressed why I was crying or why I was upset or why I was nervous. So I feel like it would have had a better camaraderie going through everything else I did, you know, in my teens and in my younger 20s and now almost 30s. Almost, I mean, not there.
I think that the common denominator is like conversations, love, empathy, understanding, just being there for somebody, you know. And so whether you're the parent or when you're the younger version of it, I think that it's so important to be comfortable sharing what's on your mind, what's on your heart, you know, and just being able to just initiate a genuine two-way conversation. I think you said it perfectly where you said lecture-based, you know, and that's unfortunate. It's parenting, especially Persian parents, have traditionally been just like that, you know. But right now, kids, especially teenagers, they're so much more aware of what's going on in the world. They're so much in tune through social media about mental health and being able to kind of share the feelings. And so there's an educational disconnect still that I hope that through conversations like this, we can kind of improve on.
Right now, absolutely. And something that stuck with me, maybe 5 years ago, I was at dinner with my parents and it got really deep and we were finally having that conversation that I yearned for when I was 8 years old. And my dad just took a deep breath and he goes, Deanna, I didn't know how else to do it, AKA raise me. And I was like, wow, he's never said that to me. And that was so brave of him to open up. And it makes so much sense is nobody tells you how to be a parent. You can read all the books you want. You can talk to all the other parents and whatnot, but you kind of just do as it has been done. You don't really think about it. And it's so in the moment and it's so, you know, spontaneous the way you parent. So it's obviously going to come out one-sided, but you have to really sit down and reflect to start that conversation. And that happened with me and my father not too long ago. And I, you know, loved him for that statement so hard because I finally understood him and why.
That was very humble of him for sure to say that, you know.
And you know, my dad, he doesn't talk like that.
It's a Persian man thing for sure. But I just think that, man, it's just such a beautiful thing when what I was going to say is that Persian people or Persian parents in general, or just parents in general, they're still figuring out life. I mean, like, only because you become a parent, it doesn't mean that you have all the answers. So they're still navigating through challenges of life at 35, 45, 55, 65, and at every stage of your life, you're combating so many different hardships and struggles while still growing a child now that is 1, 5, 10, 15, 27 years old, whatever it may be. It's a constant evolution. And that's why, as long as there's still that love and communication, hopefully we can be on the same page and be a great support group for each other. One of the things that breaks my heart when I hear people taking their life is that they obviously didn't have that support group. That's the only way I feel like, I mean, I'm not a medical expert at all, but I feel like when somebody gets to the point where they're willing to take their life, it's because they feel 100% helpless and lonely. And like, nobody should feel that way. And like, I have these constant conversations just to hopefully reach that one person to remind them that snap out of it. You're not alone. And that you're just, you look around, like you said, open up your eyes, smell the coffee and smile. Like what I loved about one of the comments that you made to me is that you love to put a smile on people's faces, you know, like that's genuinely a mission for you in the mornings is to spread kindness and love with the energy you bring to the table, you know. So there are people like you that are willing to listen to people that are in a hard place and want to help them get out of their dark area. And so I hope that you continue to shine a bright light on other people and brighten their days and save their life. And I hope that you're proud of what you've done so far. And like, I have no doubt that you're going to continue to do some amazing things. Is there something else that you wanted to kind of share in this platform that we have here?
Absolutely. Talking about this mental health and illness, if you do not feel, for everyone listening, if you do not feel open or comfortable enough reaching out to friends, please find your medical provider. We are trained to help you and we will help you. Come to us, if not anybody else. We have patient-client privilege. We will not tell anybody, and we will help take care of you. And I hope you don't forget that.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you, Deanna, for making time on Saturday morning. And again, I'm sorry for the curveball, but I think that I'm very happy with having had this conversation instead of rescheduling it. And hopefully it was good time for you too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Iman. Bye,
Good
everybody.
luck with everything. Take care. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate Deanna again for making time. And again, rest in peace, Katie Morgan. This episode was dedicated to you, and my prayers go out to your family and friends again. And I hope that wherever you are, you're smiling. You were a sweet, sweet soul, and we're definitely going to miss you. And tomorrow, my next guest is going to be Arusha Jahangiri at 4 p.m. Eastern. She was a dentist for 15 years, and also because of anxiety and stress and pressure, she decided to put it all on hold, stop her dentistry, and she literally sold her 2 practices that were very successful. She was top Washingtonian doctor, but she realized that her business was running her life instead of her running her business. And as a result, she got a business coach and a life coach that made her realize that that's what she wants to do as a career. So now she is a business coach, Dr. J Coaching, and I look forward to speaking to her so she can share her challenges with mental health and anxiety and depression that is now leading her to help other people. So guys, life is too short. And for those of you who've been watching our daily Instagram live so far, this is number 18. And every single day, I take 10 seconds and do 10 seconds of gratitude. And so I would like to close this episode with just 10 seconds of you and I taking a moment and just counting our blessings and appreciating all the amazing things around us, the blessings that we've had. So take 10 seconds if you like and join me. All right. Thank you so much. And I appreciate all of you. Much gratitude towards you. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to Unite and Conquer, our YouTube channel, and wishing you guys an incredible weekend. Love you guys all and all the best. And thank you for Deanna's friends for tuning in. Thank you.